Christ, our risen Lord, be with you all.
And also with you.
Christ is risen.
He is risen indeed.
Hallelujah. Sounds pretty good. Sounds like you have some candy this morning. Have some more. If I were with Mary Magdalene and the other Mary that Matthew talked about, who actually get to witness the first Easter, I think I would do a few things. First of all, I would take a selfie with the angel. And maybe with the tomb too, and then go inside the tomb and then perhaps have a really real conversation with the angel, just like an investigative journalist, and ask about what actually happened. How did Jesus' body get being transformed to become a spiritual body? How does that work? You know, sadly, as I look at all the four Gospels, Luke, Matthew, John, and Mark, none of the Gospels focus on exactly what happened inside the tomb, that exact moment when God raised Jesus from the dead. So for many years, I was wondering, why is that? Is that an omission? Well, I know that it's a mystery, but somehow, can one of those gospel writers get some inspirations from above and write about what happens so the whole world could know? There's no need to be working so hard to proclaim the good news. In the last few years, something really dawned on me. And maybe the fact that there's no details about how Jesus' dead body was being transformed to become the spiritual risen body was absent was not an omission. That was the purpose. That is the purpose of the gospel proclamation. Biblical writers are not interested in the details because nobody actually knows. What is important for the biblical writers is to communicate to all of us that Easter is not just about Jesus' body being raised. It's about lives being changed. It's about communities being changed. It's about lives and communities being moved from fear to joy, from loss of hope to hopefulness. And the good news is the good news. So this morning I would like to invite you to do a little bit of a Bible study with me, to follow the movement, or to follow the passage, the journey of Mary Magdalene and Mary as recorded by Matthew in the reading that we have. I want to divide their experiences into three scenes. The first scene, I call it watching in fear. Watching in fear. According to the book of Matthew, in the dawning of the new day, Mary Magdalene and Mary went to the tomb to see Jesus. To see Jesus, to see the tomb. That's not very interesting, isn't it? However, as I looked up the word see, I realized the word is a lot more interesting than I thought. The word see here, watch, however you want to translate that, comes from a Greek word, sounds something like theoma. Theoma. Now, the first part, thea, may give you some idea of what the meaning of that word is. Thea is the origin of the word theater. Now, today, none of us, a few of us, go to theater. I know that Cary High School has the annual theater, right? But there's something different about just watching a movie and being in a theater, being part of the play. When we are in theater, there's some intimacy between the audience and the actors, and between the lives of the audience and the storyline being portrayed by the actors and the actresses. In theater, we don't just sit down and watch. Like some of us at work, get out our smartphone and watch our favorite show that we skipped last night. In theater, we participate. So when Mary Magdalene and Mary were there the first Easter morning and watching in front of the tomb, they were not just watching. They were thinking about their lives and the lives of Jesus. I don't know what they were thinking, but if I were them, what I would be thinking is, or I would be feeling is, certainly a sense of sorrow. But sorrow itself does not describe the fullness of their emotions. If you might recall, Jesus died unjustly. He was being condemned to death as a criminal, as a terrorist, as somebody who rebelled against the Roman Empire. And even Pontius Pilate, the governor, as we have read in the book of Matthew, said that what did not happen. But nonetheless, the voice that says crucify him was much stronger than any other voice of reasons. And at the end, he died unjustly. So it's not just sorrow that Mary Magdalene and Mary and others felt. It's a deep sense of injustice. But perhaps most of the part of it is a deep sense of hopelessness and despair. For 3 years, Mary Magdalene and Mary put their trust in Jesus. They believe in what he stands for. He stands for the message and grace from God. The message that God's goodness and love goes to everybody, particularly those who are left behind by community, particularly the world, those who are ignored by the world. They believe that with Jesus coming, the world will turn into a new chapter, a new kingdom, a new reign will be on earth. But with his death, these hopes evaporate. The hope that they have in Jesus is now being entombed, if you will, in the dead body of Jesus. That's scene number 1, watching in despair. But then comes the second scene. Oh, I love this scene. This is a scene that we have to blow balloons and, and all kinds of fun stuff and start eating candies. Anybody have any? This is a scene in which the angel descended from heaven. And, of course, the earthquake started. And then after that, the angel sort of rolled out the stone that big spider really loved and sit with an attitude on top of that stone. With an attitude. And then the 2 guards that who were guarding the tombstone, they laughed. They were shaken, according to Matthew. They were shaken like death. I think the key word in this scene is the word shaken. In fact, the word shaken, that is, the word describing the fear of the guards, and the word earthquake is the same word. Seismic activity, you know that word? So the Greek word is seismos. So we know Greek already, all right? Being shaken is the second scene. How many of you have lived through an earthquake? You want to live through that again? I hope not. It's pretty scary. I lived through that. I lived in the West Coast for a number of years, so I know what earthquake is like. And an earthquake, you want to grab onto anything, but then one thing you know, whatever you're grabbing on, that's shaking as well. So earthquake and being shaken, it's an experience whereby everything that you believe is true is now cracked apart. Something new is coming to your consciousness. That is, whatever you think is true and staying on and holding on is no longer there. So I really believe that in scene number 2, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were shaken to the core. For one thing, the good news is the guards who stood right next to the tombstones, the guards who stand for the power to be, who did the injustice work, they were gone. So that's good news. But there's something else. The angel said to them, they said, the man whom you are looking for, he is not here. Where is he? He was raised. He was raised is in past tense. That's why I know he's risen is the translation. But in Greek, he was raised. And then the angel said it twice. Now we all have heard the story. We go, oh, okay, he's there again. But Mary Magdalene and Mary heard it for the first time. This is something they could not understand. No one could fully understand. But this is something that shakes to the core of them. But more importantly, shake off the tomb, if you will. Shake loose the tomb, the stone that have enstoned the hopelessness and despair. All of a sudden, they realize light is coming through the crack of the tomb, light is coming through from the sky. So the scene number 2 is being shaken and being embraced by hope. And then let's go to scene number 3. It's a very remarkable picture. According to Matthew, Mary Magdalene and Mary, they ran. How many of you run regularly? Well, thank you. Yeah, some of us too run, but for us oldies, that's a rarity rather than a normal thing. But Mary Magdalene and the other Mary probably were not known for their athletic abilities. They started running. Not only that, they started running. They listened to the angels. They went out and to be the messenger of hope. Because the angel tell them, go to Galilee. Go to listen to disciples. Tell them that Christ is risen. And now this is pretty remarkable if you think of that. I myself included, when somebody tell me to do things, I would say, let me think about that. And particularly to say do something so incredible. Go out and proclaim hope, really radical hope, hope that nobody fully understands. And then go to Galilee and then with the promise that Jesus would show up and tell them what to do. But come on, we are rational people. We are adults, right? We don't believe in that kind of stuff. But that's not the reaction of Mary Magdalene and Mary. They raised up, they ran with both joy and fear into the uncertainty of future, into the uncertainty that God is put in front of them. The 3 scenes: watching in fear, being shaken, but also being grasped by a sense of hope, onto running to the unknown future, to be messengers and proclaimer of hope. Easter experience. That is an Easter experience that is not just unique to Mary and Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, but this is an experience, a movement, a journey that has been repeated itself again and again and again in the last 2,000 years, from one generation to next, even among us. Without those Easter experiences, the fact that Jesus came back to life is meaningless. So the message of Easter is about hope, it's about love. The message of Easter is a calling to all of us to reflect in our own lives how we come through in different occasions, from being hopeless to having a glimpse of light and hope, on to become the messenger of hope, even though we don't know where the future would lead us. Where is your experience? And the good news for us is the Easter experience is not something that we dream up. We sit down and put some kind of strategic plan together to say, I'm going to have Easter experience. As we have read in the scriptures, the Easter experience always comes from God sending God's messengers, imperfect though they are, and proclaiming the good news of hope to us in various circumstances in life. Yesterday, I did my research for today, trying to anyway, and then came across with a story, a messenger of hope story of a messenger of hope. Her name is Amy Blue. She's from Wisconsin, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Not a household name. Sadly, she passed away on March 23rd, 3 weeks ago, yesterday. Amy had a tough life. She had experienced abuse, had bipolar probably, and then suffered from mental illnesses, depression, suicidal, and all kinds of self-injuries, and even addictions. She died at a very young age of 31. Sad as it was, but in the last few years, maybe really has been or had been a very strong message of hope in the name of God. She had a lot of a terrible experience in 2003. In 2003, her father died from suicide. So after that, she put a tattoo in her wrist. And with on the tattoo, she put a semicolon. And since then, she put on another two tattoos, also with semicolon. Of course, one, she used to honor her father. The other one for a good friend of hers who's also struggling with mental illnesses and bear those pain of having the stigma of mental illnesses. And then, the third tattoo, with a semicolon, is for herself. Well, why the semicolon? Well, as it turns out, a few years back, she was talking to friends, and somehow she wanted to do something useful in life. So in April 16, 2013, exactly 4 years ago, she started a non-profit organization called Project Semicolon. You can go online and check it. And on that very day, besides starting a non-profit, she also did something fabulous. She took a picture of her tattoos with a semicolon, and go to social media and tell the whole world, please put a semicolon in your wrist and take a photo of that. And then send it to people whom you like and whom you love are struggling with all kinds of mental illnesses, particularly have suicidal tendency and depressed. Why semicolon? Well, in 2015 and 16, she had a number of interviews with a lot of medias, including People's Magazine and Washington Post, etc., etc. This is what she said in those interviews. She said, in literature, an author uses a semicolon to not end a sentence, but to continue on. So we see it as you are, the author of your life is the sentence. And by putting on a semicolon, you are signifying to the world that even though you are filled with despair, even though when you look out there's darkness everywhere, there's dark cloud everywhere, hope is not to be found, but you are choosing to keep going. And Project Semicolon went viral. And their estimate is millions of people, not just in Wisconsin, but around the world, have been impacted, have been touched by the message of hope, by this messenger of hope. That is, life is never just period. When we see dark clouds coming to us, life is always a semicolon because of Jesus Christ, because of the love of God, and because God has raised Jesus from the dead. Sisters and brothers, today's Easter. Easter is never just about the fact of Jesus being raised from the dead. Easter is about we are being shaken so much so that we see the crack of light, just like now. Timing is perfect. The crack of light from cloudy skies. Easter is about us experiencing from hopelessness to hope, from despair to new life. Because someone comes to us in those dark moments and touch our shoulder and said, God loves you. Jesus loves you. The one who's died for you has been raised from the dead. Hallelujah. Christ is risen.
He is risen indeed. Hallelujah.
Christ is risen.
He is risen indeed.
Hallelujah. One more time. See, when you mean it. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Hallelujah. Amen.